Page 170, Wedding March, very famous melody by Mendelssohn. Usually done at the end of a wedding when the bride and groom are leaving, they're marching out. This is done to that. They're introducing a new dynamic mark is the FF, two Fs. Fortissimo. Remember, one F is forte, two Fs is fortissimo. Means very loud, really loud. It is not twice as loud. You don't multiply them. It's just up a little more. You've already been playing fortissimo sometimes, didn't know it. Because if you have a note that's marked F, forte, and it has an accent, like in the last lesson, those are fortissimos. You just takes it up. Go forte, fortissimo, up a little bit. Because we can have 3 Fs and 4 Fs. I mean, we got Fs all over the place. But we'll talk about that more in the dynamic part of this. Let's look this over. I see it's 2 pages long. Treble and bass clef. No sharps or flats in the key signature. We're either in the key of C major or A minor. If you look at the end, you're playing Cs, sort of like C chords all over. I'm guessing we're in C major. But go ahead and do the scales and arpeggios for C major and A minor, both. Just do them both. 4/4 time, we have a pickup beat, and we have triplets. It's 4 and a 1. But the 4th beat is here. The first 3 beats should be somewhere else. If you look at the end, the last measure has 3 counts in it. So that's the first 3, and this is 4. 4 and a 1, or triple 1 here. The second finger, 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you could keep counting triplet if you wanted to. Triple 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. Come up again. So we're just taking advantage of the repeated note to change hand positions in here. And they want 5 again? No. Why do they keep doing that? That's really not a good idea. I want to connect the melody. So I'm going to use 4. Then just reach down 4. I connect it all. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah, that's an F natural now because that sharp is only good for that other measure. Cross over from the 1 and 2 and 3. Rest. 2 and 3. Does this ring a bell? We're going to this position. 2 and 4 again. You get the idea? Yeah. Measure 13 is you're just down here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bring the thumb down. You're not moving the hand, just thumb. Then you got rest. You come back up here. Measure 17. You're still here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Thumb. That's actually good fingering here. So measure 19. Bring the thumb in a little bit. Here you cross over. You're sort of in this position. Here you do need the natural sign because the C sharp before is still good, so it's natural. And then during the rest, come up. You do it again. The last line on measure 29, they're just C chords. You're up here. Left hand starts measure 4. You're here. 1 and a 2 and a 3. Red. And then come down during the rest. 1, 2. And then here. 2. And then thumb. This measure 7. Again, we're changing hand positions on the repeated note. 1 and 2 and 3. During the rest, come up. You do it again. The last line on page 171 is measure 29. You have treble clef. They gave you a treble clef. So now you're up here. Here and then here. And then the last couple measures or so, it's a low C. 2 ledger lines below, remembers a C. Then we put the hands together, starting at measure 4, where they are together here. It's really just a C chord. They split it up. Here and then here. Just make sure you got all that. Measure 8, you hold the half note down. When I play the G, it comes up. But don't hold the G down. These are just eighth notes. it's just an arpeggio. Okay. So you go through and put the hands together. Then go back over it slowly and carefully and get rid of the hesitations. And because it's so long, you can break it up into pieces and tackle it in pieces. So you're not always tackling it at all. However, it's very repetitious. I mean, this melody starting at measure 5 comes back a few times. So you get it the first time, and then later while you're working on the piece, when you see it again, you skip that part because you can already play it. Go to another part that you can't play and work on that. That has the effect of shortening the piece as far as learning it goes. Then once there are no hesitations, we add the articulation. Well, at the beginning there isn't any, you're just playing it. You have some tenutos, hang on to those. If you would like a little challenge here, just give you something to think about, because you're going to need to do it eventually. Since we have this pattern at the beginning, I don't like using the same finger like that all the time. You don't have to. We could go with 3, 2, 1, 2. 3, 2, 1, 2. It's safer, more secure, believe it or not, to do that than using the same finger all the time. So 2, 3, 2, 3. Now when you get to chords, you're pretty much stuck with it. But here, when it's by itself, you can go back to that. Here. Anyway, measure 4, you're loud here, right? And then you have a crescendo and measure into measure 3. You're going up just a little bit, not much. Most of your crescendos at the end of measure 4. Now you're fortissimo. That's the melody. This other stuff needs to be in the background. Now they give you an accent there on measure 5. And the idea of an accent with fortissimo, all it's going to take it up is like 3 Fs. It's going to like, ugh. Well, what they want, I think, is they want that note to stand out. And you're at fortissimo on these others. Here, so you're fortissimo there. They want the half note to be a little out of the nose. So don't get carried away with it. And you're coming down to measure 6, down to moderately loud. And then measure 8, you go back up. And measure 12. Just coming off of the phrase. That's typical on a phrase. You don't even need an arrow there. You should just do it. Now measure 13, you're soft. Very soft in the left hand. Now, well, you gotta make the melody sound like one hand played the whole thing. Here. It's not really clear the way this is written. In measure 14, the little dashed line, that's telling you the melody is going down to the other step. So it's all melody. Going back up in the next measure. But then in measure 16, they don't give you a line anymore. So does that mean the melody ends on the B? I don't know. In my opinion, no. I'd play measures 16 just like I did measure 14. Pretend it's melody. But the point is, the left hand's got to play out a little bit. Well, that's a problem, because when I get to the chord on measure 15, how do I play that? Unless you have a lot of control where you can play a chord and you can play one note louder than the others in the chord and still get all the notes down at the same time. Here. Hear that note? That doesn't work real well. So we may have to make a slight adjustment here. A lot of times you can take something that's really difficult and you can turn it into something that's not quite so difficult if you just make a little change here and there. So what I'm going to do is that G in the left hand for measures 14 and 15. I'm going to play that in the right hand, so the right hand can play the melody, all of it. So in measure 14 is here. Instead of this fingering, I'm going to scrunch up and use little finger. So it would be measure 13 is here. Scrunch up little finger, and the thumb, stay there. And reach up, measure 17, third or fourth. Because that's sort of the note, chord. I can play all the melody in one hand and make it sound like it, and the background stays in the background. So it's the melody flows here. It all sounds like one hand played it all, because it did. And the left hand's just staying in the background. So we make these little adjustments when we need to help us perform and interpret the music. Just because the notes are written in a particular staff doesn't mean you have to use that hand to play that staff. Although some teachers teach that, and I disagree. The notes are there, they're conveniently written to read a lot of times, and it's up to you on how you're going to finger them. I do this a lot. I'll have one hand play some of the notes to help the other hand out, is what we're doing here. So very slowly, measure 13, I'm here, so everything's fine. And then I'll scrunch up a little finger on the right hand. And I'm using the right hand, and it's just 3 and 5 here. Then I see here. To help me out, get that out of there. Now measure 16 at the end, you get that crescendo. Go up to moderately loud. Don't get too loud here, it's just going up a little bit. And then measure 20. You can separate those notes just a little bit. It's interpretation, some people do, some people don't. It helps to kind of bring out the accents. And you're getting a little bit louder. And here, and like on measure 23, you don't need the right hand to play the melody in the left hand. The left hand can do it because that's all it's got. So it's soft and loud. The last line is fortissimo. I don't think you need accents on those. In my opinion, you don't. Just play them fortissimos close enough. Let the wrist collapse a little bit when you're playing loud. All you're doing is playing really heavy, but don't start pounding on it. I know it's fun sometimes, but just heavy. The notes go down very quickly in the last line here. All 5 notes down at the same time. Just real quick down, heavy. Let the wrist collapse a little bit. Here, all the way across. As far as the speed goes, the 120 to 132 is a typical march speed. A lot of marches are in the left, right, left, right. That's where they are. Experiment with it, but don't rush it. I mean, they don't have to run out of the church at the end. They're happy and they're quick and they're not taking their time leaving, but they're not running. Let's put it that way. Yeah, somewhere in there. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there. Yeah, it's close enough. Now they've added pedal, and we do need pedal in this. I mean, an orchestra should be playing this. It helps us to connect the repeated notes, and it gives us the overtones. Especially when it gets loud, we like to have the overtones. Here at the beginning, it's doing both. Here, it's connecting the notes, and it's giving us the overtones because it sounds different, and that's what we want. But we have to be careful. We don't want to cover up the staccatos, and we don't want to blur up the melody. So we're changing the pedal on the harmony when the chord changes, but we have to be careful not to mess it up too much. Again, a lot of times they keep the pedaling indications simple for you because you got enough to think about. But then you're hearing junk, and I don't want you to hear the junk, so I complicate the pedaling a little bit. Now, because this is loud and those notes go by pretty quick, you pretty much got to get the pedal down immediately. You can't lag it there. But when I go to change the pedal, I'm changing it after I play the notes. So I am lagging behind on changing the pedal. So at the beginning, the pedal goes down with the notes here. I'm going to hold the pedal down through the whole introduction. Then on measure 5, you change the pedal after you play the notes. And lift it up after you play the notes. So again, I'm not pedaling this. And on measure 8, you have a choice. You pedal it like they're doing, or you build up. That's fine, it's a good effect. If I want to hear the staccatos, I'm going to lift up on the second beat. It's a different interpretation. I don't know what you like. You decided. Your teacher can tell you what they want, and that's fine. I measure 12 there. Push the notes, then the pedal. And lift the pedal after you play the notes. So it overlaps. Measure 13, we're connecting the notes here. Now here, measure 18 and 19 and all that, we don't pedal this because we'll smear up the melody. We don't want to do that. So it's... And we pedal again. At the end, last line or so, you're holding it down for all of that. Well, it actually starts at the last 2 beats of measure 28 where you hear it. Then you just hold it down for the whole thing. This is like church bells ringing out. You have to be careful because with the everything going on, the fortissimo almost happens by itself. You don't have to force it or you'll get way too loud. And that's really what all the pedal is. I don't know. The fermata at the end, you just hold that out and let it die away. And hopefully they made it out of the church by then. And you go ahead and go do your little postlude thing in the wedding or whatever music you play after that. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics and I'm not going to do the pedaling because you hear it better without the pedal. So I'll give us 3 counts because we come in on beat 4. 1 and ready and go and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 2 and 3 and 4. 3, 2, 4, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3,